Here in the UK, if you've got no job, you can go in the dole. Now in Dubai, if you haven't got a job, you go home or you're homeless. There's some people from the Philippines and the African community that can't afford to go home. They're stuck in the system. Biggest major flip points for me. I went out one night, got into a really bad fight with someone. I'm going to prison. It's only a matter of time. Flip side, my mum was just a true hustler, man. She was just always working. Like, this woman managed the house. And then I remember when my dad passed away.
How was that? But today I have someone special. He's conquering Dubai. He's doing all the deals out there, and we want to find out more about it. Let's welcome James Sahota.
Look, let me put the truth behind it now. And there's these people that create this false Instagram like, hey, look at me, man, I'm a life coach, I'm this. Bollocks, you're nothing. It's very easily achievable, and they're the people you need to watch out for because...
So we've already had the king of Dubai real estate in 20 episodes ago. But today I have someone special. He's conquering Dubai. He's doing all the deals out there, and we want to find out more about it. Let's welcome James Sahota.
Oh, Sean, what an intro, mate. Thank you so much.
How you doing, bro?
I'm very well, mate. Very well.
I have to say, you're very humble.
Oh, thank you. That's a nice way to start.
Do you know, when I saw your name and somebody, I think Cam, I'm going to give you a shout out, Cam.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, you should speak to James. He's going to be coming to UK soon. He'll be great on the podcast. And I was like, I'll message him, but I don't know if he'll message me. And you just like, yeah, what's going on, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Like, you know, it was really easy speaking to you.
Oh, thank you, man. You know what it is? Sometimes it's nice just to be on the other side of the podcast, just actually be talking to someone. Because like yourself, mate, I got a podcast, but when you're always interviewing someone, sometimes it's like, you know what? Let's see what it feels like in the hot seat.
100,
so yeah,
100.
when the opportunity came along, 100% I was all over it.
So what's your podcast about?
So my podcast is called the J2 Hub Podcast. It's called J2 because my sons are JJ and JV, so there's two of them.
All right.
Together they're a bit of a hub. When they're together, I call them a hub. So named it after them. The podcast really looks at property, entrepreneurship, real life, issues facing people. It's pretty much an off the record chit chat, but it focuses more on property investment and how people can make money. I love to talk about disasters. I love to talk about the disasters I've had, all the losses I've had, because not a lot of people show that on the social medias. And yeah, generally it's all about kind of helping people along their journey,
100. Like, we can always learn of someone else's journey, and they say every master was once a disaster. Hey?
I've never heard that one before. I like that.
Yes. I'll be keen to watch out for that one actually, because I want to learn more about Dubai. Like, is it true that you need 50,000 a month to live in Dubai?
Well, some people probably do, the lifestyle they have, but look, no, you don't. This is what I say to people. Look, you can have a meal for 3,000 dirhams, or you can have a meal for 200 dirhams. It's up to you how you want to live. Now, me being someone who lives there full time, I can't do the kind of flossing lifestyle, No. I see it on Tyrone's videos all the time, and I love it because my man is a pure flosser. He's out there doing his thing. And I've bumped into him a few times.
Okay.
But when you got two kids, you got a missus, it kind of changes, a little bit. So you become a bit adaptable. Now, one thing you realize very quickly in Dubai, because it's tax-free, it's great. But you pay through the nose on everything else, man. You go into a Waitrose comparable. A friend came over from the UK, goes, bruv, am I reading that right? £5 for a broccoli. I said, yeah, man, £5 for a broccoli. That is right. And you're thinking, okay, I'm saving tax one end, but I'm paying more the other end. So I feel, look, you can there's people that live for a couple of thousand dirhams, man. The guys that work on the labour camps, the roadside guys, they live for minimal money. But then I've seen people, man, that spend some serious cash. We've got Russian clients that might be spending £100,000 a month to live, wow. £200,000.
So just for the audience who doesn't know how to quite comprehend or look at what dirhams and pounds is, how much is that roughly? Like 1,000 dirhams is how much?
So 1,000 dirhams is about £200.
200
quid. About £200.
Okay. Wow. Because every time we see social media, is it real? Whatever we're seeing on social media, like people on their jet skis, on a boat, having a party on a boat. Next minute they're in the nightclubs. They're in this lovely, lavish hotel. Is it like that 24/7? Is it literally like that?
Look, let me put the truth behind it now. So a yacht you can hire for 900 dirhams an hour. It takes 35 people. Yeah, 35 people can be on that yacht. They provide you with soft drinks and you can take your own alcohol on there.
Oh, wow.
Now, if you want to look like an Instagram flosser, hire that for an hour, get a load of girls on there, take a load of photos, and you're going to look the shit, right? That's the
So
real...
that's all that for like 200 quid.
Yeah, an hour. Now, you probably have to take it for a minimum of 3 hours because it has a route
All right,
that
so
it goes around.
take a friend with you as well, you know.
Absolutely,
and-
man. Or you could be a tight ass like I've seen some Indians do. Bruv, you need to chip in towards the yacht. I'm not paying for it all. I've seen some people do that as well. But look, the yacht thing, it's not a flossing thing. There's so many yachts out there. One of the biggest companies is actually owned by 2 UK guys. 2 Indians that live in the UK own one of the biggest yachting companies. But don't be fooled when you see them on their swimsuit jumping into the water. That's quite easy to do, even for someone who's got a mediocre job. Cars, readily available. You can hire cars very easily. It's easier to hire a Ferrari out there than it is to hire a Nissan Qashqai, as I've had trouble hiring one in the UK here myself.
So how much does it cost to like rent like a Lambo or something in English money?
So you could have it for 5,000 dirhams. So it's like 2, 4, 6, 8, about £1,000, and you'll get a good few days out of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I know here it's probably a lot more, right? I've never hired a Lambo or anything.
I think it's like 2-3 grand or something for a weekend.
Yeah.
It costs around that sort of figure. I've never looked into it, but I've always wanted to drive a Lambo.
Yeah.
And be in a Lambo. I can't comprehend like getting one and buying one and maintaining it and a
Yeah.
clutch for £6,000 a year and silliness like that. I couldn't sort of get my head around that, but I'd love to just get a thrill of it at least.
Yes.
The one time I did go on a racing car track, that was the only car that was broken down was the Lambo, so I still didn't get it. But yeah, let's go to Dubai, man, and rent a few cars there.
But you know what? Don't be phased, because there are a lot of people, especially in the gyms. You'll see the Instagrammers in the gym as well. You know, they'll join the biggest gym there. They'll have their video equipment and they're filming. So I think there are a lot of people in Dubai that have a lot of wealth. There's a lot of people that just live mediocre lives there as well. You know, go to work. They got very good jobs. And then there's these people that create this false Instagram like, hey, look at me, man. I'm a life coach. I'm this. Bollocks, you're nothing. You know, it's very easily achievable. And they're the people you need to watch out for, because there's a lot of them selling this thing on, you know, like, okay, follow me, jump on my coaching program. I can help you become a social media influencer. I can help you do this. I see it day in, day out. People aren't shy in Dubai, you know. You'll regularly see people with their cameras out doing TikToks. I've seen it in sales centers when I'm there with a client, you know, showing them a prospective property. And you've got some Indian agents from India. They've got an Indian track on in the background and they're doing a stupid dance. I think, damn, man, nobody cares out there. Everybody just goes about their business. But don't let it fool you. There are people that are making serious paper, but then there's people that are faking it too as well.
How do you find someone who's actually qualified? Like, you know, there's so many people with great branding, marketing, advertising, great sales funnels. They're very good at, you know, you've got these apps that will write all of the messages across now and they can be reading it and you don't even know they're reading a script, but they look in the part, they sound in the part,
Yeah.
you know, they give you this free webinar, come in and the next minute they get you in an emotional state and boom, you bought something off them. Like, how do you spot the phonies, the fakes? Like, what sort of due diligence do you need to do to look into them more?
No, I think, bro, something you said the minute I walked in here, you said to me, this is going to be a great podcast because we're very similar. You get it, right? And I think you just need to meet someone and you vibe off somebody straight away within, I reckon, no more than a minute.
Yeah.
And you know if you're going to vibe off this person or not, or this person's going to annoy you for the next couple of hours. I've had it where I've had podcast guests that just want to overspeak you all the time, you know, and it gets quite annoying. But I think the biggest thing people need to do is obviously do your due diligence, you know, check out their company. It's very easy to do this kind of stuff. Maybe not that easy in Dubai, but in the UK, you know, you can jump onto Companies House, you can jump on here, you can run their name through Google, and you'll find out what's going on. But I think the biggest thing is, let's say, for example, it's a real estate agent. Go and meet the person. Go and sit with that person and have a coffee with them for 10 minutes. And you're going to know straight away if this person is desperate to sell to you or if this person is really there to help you, you know. And one of the things I do straight away when I meet a client is I say to them, look, for the next 2 hours you're with me, I'm not going to try and sell you anything. If at the end of 2 hours you buy, great for me, I make a good commission. If you don't buy, I'm not going to be upset. I have a portfolio that pays me every single month. I'm not desperate to sell you something. And I think a client can very easily sense desperation. You can sense desperation in Dubai. I did an Instagram post recently where I said there's 15 to 16,000 brokers. I actually got that wrong. Somebody commented and said, no, James, there's like 40,000 now. 40,000 commission-only brokers in Dubai right now. Imagine every single one of them has to sell something to eat. So desperation kicks in at some point because Dubai is an evil city. It can eat you up, chew you up, spit you out, and you're on a plane back home to Heathrow, back to your admin job. Okay, so these guys will place you where they make the most commission. Now, generally what happens in Dubai is the shitter the developer, the nastier the development, the more commission you get, pure and simple, because they can't sell it. So someone who's an independent developer who's not that great, might be their first development, their area is pretty questionable, they might give the agent 10% commission. And they'll pay that within a month of the deal being done. So why is somebody not going to take you there if they're desperate? They are, because they're looking at their own interests. So I think you need to meet with an agent and sit with them, have a coffee with them, have a chat with them. With me, I want to know about the people I'm speaking to. I want to know about your wife, your kids. What do you do back home? I'm more inquisitive to speak to you. I want to know what's been your hustle back home for you to now be in Dubai looking at a 10 million dirham villa or something, because you've got to done something great back home. So for me, I'm interviewing someone as much as they're interviewing me. But I always say, meet with someone. And if you're not vibing with that person, if you're not feeling good energy, if you're not feeling a good aura, go and meet somebody else until you find somebody who's got that aura. So pure and simple. I think that for me is the way you separate. And Sean, you said a very good thing. Like nowadays people can film content with teleprompters and they can be reading a script. They can get AI to generate. You could go onto ChatGPT and say, write me a trustworthy script in this person's style, which makes people buy from me. And that thing is going to pump out some content for you. I reckon there's some people who are going to watch this thing. You know what? Let me check that shit out. That's going to pump out some content for you that you can record, probably stick on a funnel page, like you just said, on a funnel. And, if you've got some good SEO, good marketing, Instagram boost behind it, chances are you're probably going to take somebody's money from their pocket, man.
100. It's something that, when we first came in this room, it's like, it's not what you feel, it's not what you hear somebody say, it's what you feel.
Yes.
They say, people feel. And I think as human beings, we have natural instincts that I think we're getting really lazy with. What's this thing like people just want to look at a piece of paper and just educate, learn this piece of information and then apply it. It's more than that sometimes. I suppose when sometimes you want to buy a development or buy a house, sometimes it comes with your gut feeling.
Oh, 100%.
And that's something a book can't teach you. A book can't say, how are you feeling about this? Because when you put all of this information in your brain, I know you're here, I know my camera's over there, I know the room's over there. My senses will see something move before my brain can even actually physically say it and say something's wrong here. Do you know what I mean? And I think people are losing that little touch. You actually took me back in my memories a little bit when you were just talking there about, I think, building rapport. It's such a great thing because a lot of people just want to sell as fast as possible because all they're looking at the end of the month is how much money am I making, and they don't care whoever's tree they're pulling down, or mind my language, like fucking over along the way. As long as they're getting paid, as long as they've got the money in their pocket, they don't care. But something that matters for longevity is relationship. And we have to think about tomorrow. We have to think, where's my business coming from tomorrow? Because bad news sells very, very fast. It spreads like wildfire. And when I was working in Barclays, I'd always have this little dip when I've started a new role because I wasn't there jumping in to quickly sell. I'd have a portfolio of 200 clients and I'd be like, hi, Mr. Jones, my name is Sean Land. I'm here to work for you. I know you're very busy in your job. This is why you have a premier manager. But I know that it's my duty to look out for the best interest in you. Straight away, I can see a few things that I can tidy up on your account. And I would just do the servicing sort of side that he goes, no one's ever cleaned that up for me. Now I'm on online banking rather than seeing all these little pots. I see my main account, my most recent savings account with the best interest bearing account, and it's there. And I guarantee you, second time they're coming in, it's like, how's Jane doing? Because we already spoke about her. How are the kids? But along that journey, there's a very soft sales approach that you can
Yes.
also do.
Yes.
And you're like, so I know you're working here and you earn X amount. So some clients would say, I'm earning £6,000 a month, and it's like, oh great. And you find that they don't have any protection. Then later on you can say, well, if you had a machine at home that prints out £6,000 every single month, would you insure that thing? And they'll be like,
Nice.
well, yeah, of course I would. I said, so well, why don't you have insurance? Because Jane don't work and the kids are relying on you. It's not stuff that we like thinking about. Then we look at like, where are you living? What's the house value? And how much is outstanding the mortgage? When do you want to get that paid off for? Oh, when was the last time you had that reviewed? There you go. There's my mortgage lead, because I'm trying to help you get the best rate on your mortgage.
Absolutely.
Then at the same time is how hard is it? What's your plans for this big pot of money that we've spoke about? First of all, do you need instant access? Was it instant savings account? You don't have any plans for it? Let's put it in a bond. If it was something long term, go and speak to Steve Dunn. He does all the financial investments, and we've got risk tiers. So it's not everything just skin the cat. And when you do that over 200 clients and you take your time, within 6 months I was number 1 in West End.
Yeah.
And it's just about building relationships, building rapport, knowing
Yes.
your customer,
Yeah.
knowing their name, doing a CDD, which is a customer discussion document,
Mm-hmm.
and logging everything. So the next time you speak to him, while you're going, hi, Mr. Jones, you bring it up and goes, oh yeah, that's a little bit about him because I've got 200 clients. You can't remember everything. What are you doing to keep your diary and keep mental notes? So very, very valid point what you just said there, and I can relate so much to you, man.
Dude, something you just said there, I think why you did so well there, you're providing a service, you're addressing their pain points, and people don't address people's pain points anymore. And another thing you said there, you'd have notes. When I had the print company, I remember doing this on every client. If he said to me, oh yeah, sorry man, I've been busy, I was taking my son to rugby, that's going straight in my notes. Or we've just come back from a holiday, because the next time I ring him, I say, how was Johnny's rugby tournament and how was your holiday? He's going to say, Jesus, man, James fucking loves me, man. He remembers me. But no, I'm sorry, I have notes on you. I'm here to provide you the best service, but it's got to be one-to-one. You can't be generic. Now, look, where I am in Dubai now, very salesy role. They expect you to make certain 100 number of calls. Like yourself, I can be given a list, and there's probably a lot of money in that list. But for me, when I message someone, so in Dubai, people know when a real estate agent's calling. For some reason, they sense it. So they never pick up the phone. Next best thing is a lot of business is done on WhatsApp. People will send a WhatsApp message. I don't do that nonsense. I grab the video straight, and I'm sending these guys a personal video. Hey, it's James here. You may not know me, but I want to get to know you. This is what I do. Look, your inquiry came in. It inquired about this, this, and this. I'm not here to sell you anything. Give me 5 minutes of your time. Let's just have a chat. Let me see how I can help you. You don't have to do anything with me. And the amount of times I've seen a double blue tick on a video, then a written message or an audio message has been phenomenal. And they actually use that as an example in the training. They said, oh, look, Uncle James over there, the old boy, sends out personal videos. And then obviously other people have started to do that now. But I think like what you said there, you have to think outside the box,
100.
man. Sales is the number one skill someone can have in this world. And I strongly believe it, man. If you're a good salesperson, your whole life is a salesman. You're selling yourself. You're selling a service. When you met your wife, when she was your girlfriend, you had to sell yourself, didn't you? She didn't just say, oh, you know what, I like that, Sean. No, bro, you were there saying, let me take you here, let me do this. She's seen a certain side to you. You're showing her how great you are because you want that thing, right? So your whole life is a sales. And I think you need to mix it up. You can't just if you do the same shit, you're getting the same results. And I've heard, there's that quote all the time. And it's so, so true. So it's nice to know that even when you were doing that, man, you got to really take your time, man. Understand the person.
100. So what are you doing in the UK right now? You live in Dubai, is that right?
Yeah. Okay. So I tell you what, I've actually come over here. I've got a few inspections on some of our latest HMOs by the council. Now, between me and you, I thought while I was sitting in Dubai, one of the conditions on one of our HMOs was solar panels. Yeah. So we didn't have time to put them on. So we used an AI company to superimpose some solar panels on the roof just to show the council we've done them, so we could get something ticked off. We were always going to get it done at a later date. But little did I know, they said, oh yeah, we're coming in 2 weeks' time to do a physical inspection. So let's bring up your solar guy, get the things put in. Sometimes I want to share this story because sometimes when you try to go to a shortcut, it shoots you in the foot. But the reason why I'm over is I've got some inspections going on, some HMOs with the council. I like to be there, especially in a new area. because we're building a rapport. We're going to have bits of planning going in the future. I want them to know who James is. So when a planning comes in from James, the officer sees it. She knows, okay, that's James. I know him. I've met him. I like him. So just looking at some UK deals as well. Although I'm a firm believer Dubai is the place to make money. In London, for me, London is, we were saying earlier, it's the only place where you get true appreciation. So we're looking at some new land development deals and a few little units here as well. So I never take my eye off the ball in London, but my eye is also on the ball on Dubai. So yeah, property stuff really.
How does that affect your residency? Like when you're in Dubai, is there a certain amount of time you can stay there? Because I know the laws have changed, like in terms of visa statuses. Do you have to say that you're resident in Dubai? Has it affected things in the UK with your credit history, and they're seeing that you're not resident in the UK anymore? How does that all work about?
So look, the way I've done it is I still have a fixed address here in the UK, and purely for what you just said, I need to be shown here as a taxpayer doing my residency here, because to do property deals you need finance, you need leverage, yeah. So I have to have a firm address here. But the way it works is when you move to Dubai, you can't do any job unless you've got an Emirates ID and a residency, which is what I love about that country, because that really just cuts out the riffraff. Here in the UK, if you've got no job, you can go on the dole, yeah? Or you could probably get a cash in hand job somewhere. Some kind of organization will support you. Now in Dubai, it's not like that, man. If you haven't got a job, you go home or you're homeless. Simple. And it's the simple truth. And it's hard to see because there's some people from the Philippines and the African communities that can't afford to go home. So they're literally in limbo where they've been sold this false dream. Come to Dubai, we'll do your residency, we'll get you a great job. Doesn't work like that. People just want money, like you said, taking someone's money, selling them a false dream. They land in the airport. There's no one there to meet them. There's no job. They're stuck. They're stuck in the system. But generally, when you move to Dubai, if you have a job, somebody's giving you a job, you get your residency for 2 years, you get your Emirates ID. That company will probably do your healthcare as well. So you get everything you need to be in that country. The other way you get residency is if you spend 750,000 dirhams, and that's actual money in the country will give you a 2-year visa. That's renewable every 2 years because you've put a portion of money into the country. If you invest 2 million dirhams into real estate, you get a 10-year visa, golden visa they call it. And some of the countries that have sanctions and stuff that are difficult with visas, they love that because now Dubai said, come over to us. Come and live here. Come and work here. And that visa allows you to sponsor your wife, your children, your dependents. So you could literally move your family over there. So visas are very, very good there. And look, the easiest way to do it, you as a businessman here in the UK, set up a company in Dubai. You set up a Dubai entity. Pretty simple to do if you know the right people. You have a UAE bank account. You can have a residency there. Your wife can have a residency. Your kids can have a residency. Now suddenly you're in a powerful position where you can come and go as you please. You need to spend 30 days in Dubai, but who doesn't want to spend 30 days in Dubai across the year? But I've noticed more and more people are doing this. They want the residency in Dubai. They want the freedom to be in the UK. And Portugal seems to be another one that people are flocking towards because Portugal's making it quite attractive for people to come over there as well. So I think residency is a powerful thing, man. It gives you freedom. You know, if this country goes into lockdown again, you jump on a plane, you hop off to Dubai.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds really like when you think of the grand scheme of things, you can see like the world is such a big place. Why are we only on that one spot, on that one island?
Absolutely.
Why are we not moving around? Why are we not experiencing life? Yes, we need to work and pay the bills, but why along that journey we can't move around? How about in terms of like, if you was to move to Dubai, what are the schooling systems like? Do you have to pay for school there? And what's the quality of education like out there?
Well, the education is fantastic, and I'm speaking firsthand. I've got a 13-year-old, I've got a 6-year-old. Both of them are in school. They're private schools. There's lots of school options out there. School is a big business out there. You can go into an English curriculum school, you can go to an American curriculum, you can follow an Indian curriculum, you can follow any curriculum you want out there. There is a private school for it. The facilities in the school are fantastic. I walk around my kids' school sometimes. I've been to an assembly. I'm sitting in the auditorium and I'm like, man, this looks like a nightclub. The lights come on, they got proper sound, they got Olympic-sized swimming pools, they got football pitches, they've got climate control in the outside to keep them cool while they're in the playground. I'm thinking, these guys really think, man. And sometimes I think the UK is just lacking a little bit of thought. or some innovative leaders to lead us, you know. But schooling out there is fantastic. Yes, you do have to pay for it, and it's probably around £25,000 a kid per year, but it's absolutely superb,
Is that
man.
pounds?
Yeah, I can't fault it, man. Like, I go there in the morning. I love to do. I used to do the school runs in the UK. I do the school runs in Dubai, and just when I'm pulling up in the car park, I've never seen a 6-wheel G-Wagon Barabbas thing. Somebody told me, dude, that's like £1.5 million. And in Dubai, you just see all of this everywhere. And how can it not inspire you, man, as a parent, seeing that in the car park and you're thinking, them kids are mixing with my kids, you know? Obviously, somebody is putting their children into this environment because they know it's a good environment for the kids. Now, on the flip side, my wife's a teacher. Behind the scenes, it's totally different. Front facing, they're great. But behind the scenes, she says it's very badly organized because they are businesses. At the end of the day, those schools want to get in as many kids as possible. If that means class sizes are bigger, so be it. If workload for teachers is bigger, so be it. There's no staff welfare because I see it firsthand. And, you know, we can talk openly. This is your channel. I can say whatever I like. But welfare for staff is pretty bad in certain schools. And these are international establishments, man. Look, when 25 new staff start and then 24 of them leave a year later, and that's happened consecutively for 3 years, it's not a problem with the staff. There's a problem with the organization.
100. And then there's a culture that's been lost there as well. Like, in terms of schools perform better when people stay and they build the processes, build it stronger and create that teamwork together. Yeah. If people are thinking, I'm starting now, this is a big mistake, and they're going to be leaving at the end of the year, is that person really going to perform to their best of their ability and giving your child that, you know, good education? So, yeah, wow, it's like quite a difference there, isn't it?
Yeah, the school, sorry, I don't want to. So the schools, yeah, like I said, they're fantastic. You as a parent, if you were putting your children in the school, when you go on an open day, you're going to be like, oh my God, I want my kids to go here. Because, yeah, I know you went to Rokeby, so you know when you walked around Rokeby, that place was a bit like, oh, what is, wow. It's like a prison cell, right?
Rokeby was prison to me. I mean, I'm telling you, as soon as you walked in, it was like vultures watching you. I don't know if you remember the tuck shop, yeah, but going to the tuck shop, you were just like it was just like a sitting duck there waiting to be mugged. It was like the basketball players would come to you, 6'5", money now. Or I don't know if you remember, in the playground there used to be an ice cream van that came, and it was an onion roll they used to serve out.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as you've grabbed it, someone's grabbed your hand and just took a bite of it. Like, it was that kind of sort of, you know, environment. I don't know if you remember the mass block, but behind the mass block you'll always have the smokers there, or there would be like the fights happening behind the mass block.
Yeah, I remember all of that.
The design technology places, like you went down this metal ramp, I don't know if you remember, then it was like an open little bit, and then you had all the design technology, you know, so there's food technology there, design technology, graphic design over there. And I don't know, that always felt like a little bit of a different place from everything else, because I don't know, I always got like that beat up in the corner or something of them places. It was like, I don't know, that school was something else, bro. But you saw it from a teacher's point of view, right?
Yeah. So early on in my career, when I finished my masters, I went back to see my old school teacher, and he's like, hey man, do you fancy just like working here for a year? And this is Mayfield High School in Dagenham. And I said, all right, yeah, you know what, I need some money. I've come out of university, I've got a bit of debt. 2 years later, I'm a qualified teacher, and I don't even know how that happened, man. He just said, go on this program, do this. But it was great because it allowed me to buy my first house, having those pay slips and having those wages. But yeah, small period of my life was teaching. I enjoyed the teaching aspect because for me, it felt like I've got 30 people that need to be entertained. And I can talk. I like to entertain. Yes. I like to speak to people. And none of my lessons were around the subject area. My lessons were always about life and helping people to understand how much a house costs, helping them to understand how much you need to earn. Yeah. That's why in Rokeby, I could have the most naughtiest class with some of the people that were gang affiliated. Yeah. In other lessons, they were just messed up. In my lesson, they'd sit quietly because I'm teaching about something they don't know.
Yeah.
And these guys are like telling me, I'm looking out the window saying, okay, we're in Stratford. There's a 3-bedroom house. How much do you think that is? Sir, £30,000? I'm like, why don't you add another zero on the end of that?
Yeah.
You know, and these guys didn't comprehend that. And this was my gripe. It's like, why are you teaching them shit like algebra when they don't know about mortgages? They don't know what a bloody checkbook is. They don't know what a solicitor is. Teach them life skills, man.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to just come in and say, right, for the next hour, this is a life skills lesson. How do you buy a house? A simple lesson. How many kids would be engaged, and how many kids would have a light bulb moment where they think, okay, if I bought a house, I could do this, I could do this. How many entrepreneurs would you breed from school at such an early age? You know, but they don't think like that because they want you to be in the 9. Nothing wrong with the 9 to 5. I know a lot of people make a lot of money from 9 to 5, but they want you to be in that society trap where you leave, you get a mortgage, you get finance on a car, you start spending on your credit cards, you know, and then you work 45 years of your life or whatever it might be, to enjoy 20, if that, to enjoy 15. I think schools need to be shaken up, man. That's why I feel senior positions in schools, especially like head teachers or head of departments, they need to be run by people who are entrepreneurs, people that have business acumen, people that have lived. You can't run a school, I feel, with someone who's been in teaching their whole life because you don't know about anything but teaching. You're not adding no value to that child's life other than, go and get good grades and knowing full well after the degree, they're going to get a shit job. Simple as.
I know many teachers who are friends or peers and they are in the same issues that a normal person is in the 9 to 5. They're still in debt themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know how to manage money themselves. They've got a mortgage that they're paying. They're waiting for their pension that might not even be worth anything. And I just think you're the one who's in charge teaching these kids and giving them maths lessons and PSHRE or whatever it's called, like life skills, and you haven't got yourself sorted yet. So why aren't there more, spaces for entrepreneurs to go into school to say who wants to come to a school and do a talk? Entrepreneurs come in. We're getting somebody from JP Morgan. We're getting somebody from Barclays come in. We're going to this small estate agency and maybe they're going to come and do a talk. Maybe you can get apprenticeship with them afterwards or something, or go and have a little chat or have a little Saturday job just to be the T-boy. Why are you not in these environments? I really did well in life because I worked at my dad's corner shop from the age of 8. We learned people skills. We learned why would somebody come in again and again if you remembered their name, if you remembered what they wanted. You gave them a smile, you gave them a little chat, they'd keep coming back. They don't teach us that in school.
No.
They just say, here's a product, this is what people want, match it, and it just happens. No, it doesn't. People buy from people, and that's an art as well. And yeah, you're right. I think that should be really more taught because we're becoming more and more like robots.
Yes.
Everything's more and more processes. I see youngsters nowadays, they can't even give you good eye contact. They're like this and very statue, and you try to tell them something, they'll tell you what you want to hear to your face, and then on an email or a message it's completely sort of like different, and you're just like, was I speaking to the same person?
It's so weird you say this. I was talking to my brother-in-law. He's 27 years old or 25 years old or something like that, and his mates were there. And me and my friend Rishi were there as well. We're older. And we're talking about apps and dating. And we said to these guys, I said, look, I can tell you right now, 90% of you here, you young guys, wouldn't know how to go and speak to a lady in a club or a bar because all your shit's done on apps. Everything's preempt. You know what's going on. I said, in our time, we needed to have some game. And I'm sure it's the same with you. You needed to have some skill, man. You pay £25 to get into a club on a Saturday night. And if you want to meet a lady that night, your game's got to be 100% and you're going to work that room. And I said to him, I go, this is how it used to be, man. You had to physically go and meet a person, take them on a date, hold their hand, go to the cinema, and then things lead on to things. I go, you guys, my brother-in-law's telling me, but I've got a date, man. Me and this girl, first time we're meeting, we're going to a hotel, we're going to have our jam. I'm like, whoa, man, it would take us about 7-8 days before you get a hug and a kiss. I go, you guys have just got all these apps. What is going on? My friend Rishi's like, he goes, bruv, can you imagine with the skills we've got if we had the apps as well? He goes, we would have been on fire. And he was trying to make these
that
kids...
would have been a machine gun,
That's
bro.
what I'm saying, bruv, And he was trying to make these kids understand that you guys have lost the simplest of skills of going up to someone random, striking up a conversation and talking to them. I still got that. I can walk into a room, networking events, prime example. People go there quietly. Nah, not me. I'm going in, big smile. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? And then that same thing we spoke about. You vibe off people, and then you're straight into conversation. But you're right. Like, you got someone giving you that weird look, and then they sound totally different on email. They sound confident on email and text.
Yes.
When you meet them, they're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting to see that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these basic skills have been lost. Like you're saying, in your dad's shop, I bet some of the skills you've got today, you can still recall where they came
all
from.
because of that. It's all because of that. The stock taking, markups, margins,
Yes.
VAT, all of that. School didn't teach me. That
Yeah.
shop taught me everything. I was a fully qualified shopkeeper by 14.
Do you still have the shop?
We still have the shop in the family.
Nice.
But it's leased out to somebody else who's more motivated, and it's my father's shop. So
Yeah.
my father gets the same money that he was getting while doing 7 days a week there.
Yes.
Morning 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock at night, and he gets the same money now. So we have the building, we have the flat on top. The garage was converted to a studio flat, as you do.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah. So they went up that way, wherever they could.
Was your dad a first generation Indian here?
Yeah. So my father came in the 60s as he came in 1970 as a 10-year-old.
Okay.
My mum was born in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So my mum's born here, but my granddad came here in the 1960s, and he worked in Fords, spraying cars, and then doing door-to-door selling. And then my dad and my uncles all went out to work.
Yes.
And once they went out to work, my granddad would ration how much lentil and rice we would have, for the whole family, and he kept putting everything in one pot. And then we bought the shop.
Fantastic.
And then from the shop, like they said when they first arrived, they had one room. Granddad and grandma used to sleep on the floor, and the three boys used to sleep on the bed. That's how we started. But with unity and everybody putting into one pot, they bought the shop, which was a money-making sort of cash flow.
Yeah.
And from that, they bought one big house, Atherton Road. I don't know if you know Atherton Leisure Centre.
Yeah.
Atherton Road was ours, number 5, and it was a ground floor, first floor.
That is prime real estate today.
So that all happened, and everybody had a floor each. And then my granddad would still ration out, like, here's 6 eggs for you, 6 eggs for you, 6 eggs for you. And then my cousins who are older than me, 10 years, they would say there were some days we didn't even get that egg, because it wasn't enough for everybody, or the bread. That's how we became something, was to hold back, save the money, ration, suffer, experience that sort of lifestyle, because people think it's just overnight. It's not.
Yeah.
And then from there, my granddad was able to buy one house, and then my older uncle moved out. And then my granddad was able to buy another house, and then my other uncle moved there. Then we rented 5 Atherton into 4 flats, and everyone was doing a shift at the shop while doing their part-time jobs, which is why I was talking to you, and I said I actually worked in McDonald's for the age of 30. It sounds like ridiculous to somebody else that why you could be a millionaire at 26, have a portfolio of houses, and how you could still keep humble on £8 an hour as a manager at McDonald's. But it was just normal to me, because my dad would do a shift in the shop, and then he'll go to Sokol's Cash and Carry and sell leather jackets down Aldgate, or Petticoat Lane, all of that sort of stuff. It was just normal. This is what a man does. He goes out and grafts and puts food on the table. No one goes with that. It's your role. Woman look after the man, look after the children while you're on game. The children come to the business if they want to spend time with dad, and dad teaches them good lessons. This is markup, do stock rotation, stuff we learn in accounting and finances. First in, first out. These are real life skills, and these are the skills that whenever I do a speech or something, I talk about these times. I don't talk about I just bought another BR strategy, and anyone can do this stuff. Anyone can buy something, look at, there's a little margin or a yield to be made, but that's not where the lesson is. The lesson is with the mindset. What happens when shit hits the bloody fan? What happens when everything goes wrong? How do you deal with that? How do you not make sure you lose everything around you, and how you hold your shit together? Look around, what teams can I build? How can I leverage this situation? Who can I speak to? Who can help me get me out of this situation? How can I build trust? How has my brand been up to this date that people can trust me and go, look, I need $5,000 just for a few months to get me over this shit bit, and then I'll be all right, and I'll pay you back with interest. That's when it shows who you are.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I love that, man. I love that. A couple of days ago, I was with Glenn and Nick Sahota. You've probably seen them on Instagram. No, proper ballers. If you look at Nick's profile, beautiful car collection in several £1 million worth. You know, he's known as the number plate king because he has all the 1 digits, 2 digit plates.
Wow.
And I sat with his father and we were having lunch in the pub. And, you know, he took me right down memory lane. He told me how it all started, you know, with the dad coming over as a cleaner, sweeping roads, you know, and then fast forward where they are now, funding £20 million sites with their own cash, with no development finance, no nothing, just goes to show you what you can do. And it's very similar to the story you just said, proper unity, man. Unity as a family. If you've got 5 lots of wages coming into one house and that house is feeding all the people and you haven't got 5 separate houses, imagine what you can build, man.
Yes. The learn that I got from that also, James, here, sorry to go a little bit off topic, but I think it's just very relevant what we're talking about is you need to make things clear. There will be older siblings, middle siblings, younger siblings, and certain siblings will feel that they need more from the pot because they were working 2 or 3 years before. Unfortunately, a lot of my family don't talk to each other now. You know, and things had to be split up. One of my uncles passed away. It was really, really sort of, you know, damaging to the family. In 2010, he was only 54. He was my dad's business partner. He passed away, and then unfortunately everything had to be split. And you're dealing with nephews and uncles, and they had their opinions. My dad had his opinions. You know, I'm surviving partner, or we want to come after what dad's got. We want to do it easily on a table, but you can end up going through courts for 6 to 8 years. When that happens, there's nobody who wins apart from the solicitors.
Absolutely,
you know?
man.
They got probably a good chunk of 100, 200 grand out of them sort of transactions, and that's what I saw. So when you do go into business with family, I know there's a lot of love, care, and you're born from one nest, but you must realize that it's not always going to be like this, because you're going to have partners coming in, you're going to have children. Your priorities will change. You're going to be more loyal to your wife and your kids. And when there's a pot of money and you've got 5 children and your brother's got 2, you're going to feel that, well, I was working before you were, and I've got more children.
But it's your choice to be pumping out 5 kids, man.
Exactly. But not everybody sees it that way. So it's very important to get things in black and white when things are good. So later on, there are no problems or issues and stuff. Look, James, I want to find out the man behind this realtor who's in Dubai right now. Where did it all begin? Because I know you were mentioning East London. I want to know, you know, where you were born, where you went to school, some of your early years, and what built the man today.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Yeah, look, man, East London, born and bred. It all started in Manor Park for me.
E12.
Yeah, E12. It's a popular postcode for me. I love the postcode. And, you know, normal kind of life. Mum, dad. You know, early on, we were living in a small house that mum really worked hard to buy. I think it was £22,000 at the time.
Do you remember Cross Cutters by any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2nd Avenue or something.
Yes.
Uncle Sunil. No?
Yes, I remember that shop.
Yeah, that's my Uncle Sunil there, you know.
Yeah.
He lives just next street to us now. We still go Badminton all the time, but he's a legend.
I remember these shops.
The Joshies.
That's it, yeah. And we... grew up in Dersingham Avenue, and mum struggled to buy that house. She bought that house. She said to my dad, look, I'm going to buy that house and then only we're going to have kids. She goes, otherwise I'm not having kids. I'm not having children unless we've got a house. My dad was a very free spirit. You know, he was a very intelligent man, all about education. He was highly trained. He was a watch guy. He used to build watches, repair watches, service luxury watches. That's the kind of, in very engineering basis he was. He taught me how to draw. He gave me my first love of sketching and drawing. I still remember that. Sadly, he passed away when I was 7. So I lost him very, very early on.
Wow.
But I have some fond memories of him being a very free spirit and being someone who just did what he wanted to do, you know, quite happy. Quite, you know, give us whatever we wanted. Very technical. I remember he had a room in the house where he used to strip watches, so there'd be all kinds of tools there. And I was mesmerized by just watching him create something. And then when he used to pull out these books and teach me how to draw, and it might have started by just drawing a 3D box and then creating something off of that. And I think some of those early skills he taught me just stayed with me. That went on to me for kind of later on in life.
Did that make you more creative?
Absolutely. That's where my creative flair came from my dad. And then on the flip side, my mum was just a true hustler, man. She was just always working. Like, This woman managed the house. I'd see her, like most Indian women did, they were stitching at home. They were, that someone would drop a load of clothes off, they'd stitch labels or whatever they did. And she ran the household. And then I remember when my dad passed away.
How was that?
It was a hard time, man. For me, I was still young, but I couldn't work out why I'm going to school. People's dads are dropping them off, and mine ain't there. Where is mine? He's gone. And even to this day, in our culture, we have the body comes home, they'll open the coffin, you pay their last respect. I can still vividly remember his face in the coffin. I can remember the position of the coffin. I can remember where I was sat in that room. And these things stay with you for life, man.
What was going through your head when this situation? Because you're 7, right?
I'm like, why is my dad in that box? Why is this happening to me? Have I done something wrong? Has something gone wrong? I remember there was family around, but I remember, like I say to everybody, once the funeral's done and people have gone home, that's it, mate. You're on your own. Life carries on.
Yeah.
No one really gives a shit. Family or no family. Everybody's got their own things to do. But at the time, I couldn't work out why my dad was there. And I remember my mum, shortly after, for a small period of time, me and my sister were still small, we were just sleeping with her in the bed because we're like, this is a big thing that's happened.
Of course, man.
My mum was I think she was only early 30s.
Wow.
Maybe even younger than that when she lost him. So you got to remember, she's a woman come from India. She's in East London. It's a predominantly racist area at the time. I remember the NFs were quite thrived then, bald head, Doc DM, boots. And she's lost her support. And doctors told her, oh, you're going through a bit of depression. And I remember her clearly saying, I heard her speaking to someone on the phone and she said, no, this depression needs to sit aside. I've got kids to take care of. I've got a mortgage to take care of and I need to hustle. And I remember seeing this woman work fucking day and night, man. Day and night. And that's where I got my hustle from, man. I see, and even now, she passed away sadly 2 years ago. And even now, I've got clear memories of watching her hustle. Then I've got clear memories of her coming down, making food, taking us to school. And that woman single-handedly, what my mother achieved on her own in this day and age is phenomenal. I used to say it to her a few years before she passed away. I said, Mum, if I relatively achieve what you achieved as one person on her own, I've made a success of myself. And I said, you should be goddamn proud of what you did. She never let me and my sister go without. Okay, we didn't have the branded clothes, all this stuff, but she always made sure we ate well, we had good clothes, we were dressed well. And, she never let us go without, and she never let us see her pain. And I think that was, in a way, both me and my sister now are quite hard-nosed. Like, we're not very affectionate people. And I know this comes from my mum. Don't get me wrong, my mum, I loved her. We were affectionate amongst ourselves. But growing older into a relationship, my wife often says to me, she goes, oh man, when someone's feeling sad, like, you're not like quite lovey-dovey. You don't want to put arm around and say, oh, you're all right. Maybe with your kids. I'm like, listen, fucking get your shit together and get this shit sorted. If you're feeling a certain way, feel that way, but stop and start feeling the right way. That's how it was for me growing up, because I saw that in my mum. So when dad passed away, in school I became very disruptive, like very, very disruptive. I was always very able, very, very intelligent, but became disruptive in class. I remember I must have been the only child who got excluded from a primary school. Imagine that. You've got to really have fucked about to be kicked out of a primary school.
What did you do?
I was just fighting, taking my anger out on other kids, aggressive. Now I look back, that's how I dealt with the pain.
Did anybody spot that anger in you and try to help you or coach you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the head teacher at the time, I remember her being very understanding, Like, it got to the point where when I had these disruptive sessions, she'd just call me in her room and I'd sit with her. But then it got to a point at lunchtimes, they wouldn't let me out. They wouldn't let me be physically out with the other kids. I had to eat my lunch outside the head teacher's office. And I remember my cousins walking past, saying, you pussy, you're out there, you're all messed up. Look at you little fool, chucking things at me. But it's only years after, that's how I dealt with my pain, man. That was my pain. That was me dealing with what's going on. And it was only a counsellor who brought that out. A few years ago when my mum passed away, I thought, know what, I need to get some counselling, man. I need to sort out what's going on in my fucking nut here because there's certain things. And he brought that out. He goes, you know, you never dealt with that pain. He goes, your dad died all those years ago. You've never actually buried it. So there was a lot of that to deal with in the early days. But I got over that. I was always in trouble as a kid, man. Growing up in East London, you get to see things that other people don't see. You know, right where I lived, there was an estate. And you had people up to all sorts in the estate, you know. I think it teaches you early days of entrepreneurship. People are selling all kinds of stuff, you know. Everybody's got their hustle. They might be duplicating video films. They might be selling something they shouldn't be selling. They got illegal cigarettes coming on. They got some bootleg alcohol going on. So you see all this. You see the hustle. And I was always amongst this. And I think growing up in East London was the best thing for me, man. I saw this. I'm streetwise. I could handle myself. I was always getting into fights through my teens when I was growing up. And discovered alcohol very early on as well, you know. And where I think a lot of Asian guys in my era discovered that. I don't drink anymore now. But I remember at the time, man, fucking hell, alcohol, we were always on it.
Where was you? Out in Ilford, Red Lion, all of that?
That's it, all of that. You know, you start on Cranbrook Road at the end, near the Spoon, and you work your way up. You start there at 7 o'clock in the evening, 8 o'clock in the evening. By the time you get to Ilford Station, where that nightclub was, it's 2 in the morning. You're off your head, down to Romford Road, Dixie Chicken, home. Usual pattern that everybody had.
Do you remember that Dixie? The guy was so fast.
That's it.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That guy's a legend, bro.
That's what I mean.
He's going viral right now.
Oh, is he really?
Somebody discovered him and it's like, look at this guy. But we saw him the way he used to pop them boxes up.
Yeah.
With that tongue, boom, boom, boom. And it was like, yeah, that was the show at the end of the night. But yeah, I remember them days. Wow, man.
So growing up in East London was that. And then obviously I went through high school. Mum moved me out of the area. So she moved me into Dagenham. I went to Mayfield High School. Okay. Again, a couple of my pals went with me. But again, through high school, I did just the minimal. I just did the minimal. And I walked out with 7 GCSEs.
That's good.
C grades. I failed English.
I got 5.
I had to redo my English in college.
Okay, yeah.
I failed Punjabi of all fucking subjects, being a subject that I speak. And I told my mum that I actually passed it. And then only a few years before she passed away, my wife told her that actually, mum, he failed. So I had to come clean, you know. And went on to sixth form. Again, did the bare minimum in sixth form. And I think while I was got through sixth form, managed to get into university, went to Westminster University, absolutely hated it because I didn't live out and all my mates were living out. And that is where I had one of the biggest major flip points for me. I went out one night, got into a really, really bad fight with someone. And I talk about this openly, you know, had a physical fight with him, fractured his skull here. He was from overseas, from America. It was all kind of, it was a two-way thing. It wasn't just me. I got arrested for it. And, got charged with GBH, 2 counts of GBH. And I was locked up in a prison cell. They kept me for the maximum time they could. And imagine being really hungover. You're in this cell. You're covered in bruises because you've been beaten up as well. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, what have I just done? I remember they kept me for 23 and a half hours, the maximum they could keep me for. And I remember counting all the tiles on the wall like this. And I remember speaking to the barrister at the time, or the lawyer, whoever it was, and he was telling me that, you know, this is serious. James, this is serious. Yeah, you're going to do time for this if you get convicted of this. And I don't care what anybody says, whatever big man you are. I was back in that cell, crying like a little pussy. You know, thinking, fuck, man, I've ruined my life. Because at that point, I had just decided to move out of Westminster and go to Manchester and change my life, just get around a new lot of people. And this episode seems to happen. And the guys that I was with who also got arrested with me just blamed it all on me. You know,
Wow.
Said it was all his fault. They walked off. They got away with it.
But why did they catch you? Because did somebody see you hitting him?
So I tell you what happened. This is where I say karma comes in, yeah? So beat this guy up, got away with it. Fight ended. Thought, won the fight. Celebrate like you do. walking home through Ilford. I'm at Ilford where Sainsbury's is, yeah? There's a group of lads there. And they just go, there he is. Run towards me, pound me, beat the shit out of me. And then afterwards go, oh shit, sorry man, this is the wrong guy. And me being me thinking, okay, I've just been attacked. What do? Oh, let me ring the police like a dickhead. Ring the police, tell them I've been attacked. They come along and they go, oh, thanks, mate. We've been looking for you for the last hour. Because they were looking for me. So look how karma came round. That was my first experience of karma. Having been in a fight and then being beaten up by someone, being wrongly identified by this group, and then calling the police to try and get my own ass covered, being arrested, taken straight to Ilford police station.
Wow.
That's how I got caught. Wow. And I remember after that, when I came out of the prison cell, my mum's standing there, man. Huge disappointment in her face. I couldn't even look her in the eyes. Really couldn't look her in the eyes. And very disappointed. Got home, had a shower, sat there, had a good home-cooked meal. A couple of days later, we needed to see a solicitor's firm, needed to see a barrister. And he just said to me, he goes, James, man, look, you're going to get sent down for a couple of years for this. Like, if this guy comes back from America and gives evidence on the day at trial, you're going down, guaranteed. 2 years passed. So imagine being in limbo with this hanging over you and you're trying to do your university degree. You've literally changed your life around. You're in Manchester, new set of mates, everything.
And every day this situation's going around in your head.
Back of your head.
I'm going to get done.
I'm going to get done. Yeah, I'm going to prison. It's only a matter of time. I'm going to prison. And like Indian mums being Indian mums, they're doing all these prayers. They're doing all this for your well-being, going to see this Pandit, going to see this God and all this. In my head, I'm thinking this is a load of mumbo jumbo, but maybe it worked. Day of the trial comes, mum's like, look, it was at Snaresbrook Crown Court. A day of the trial comes and she goes, look, I can't come with you because if something bad happens, I can't see it. I remember her giving me a £20 note saying, put that in your wallet when you get to prison, put that on your card so you've got some money. And that just I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going down. Get there, and they put you in the dock in the prison cells down there below. I wasn't like on remand or anything. Come up and they start the trial and everything. Barrister goes to me, look, just prepare for the worst. We'll hope for the best. And we're there, and this guy doesn't turn up. He doesn't turn up to give evidence. But because I'd admitted what I'd done, the Crown Prosecution Service can still find me guilty, which they did. And I'm there in the dock, and I remember the judge, my university lecturer, sent in all these letters, references to say how great I was, that this was really out of character. And he goes to me, Mr. Sahota, I sentence you to, and he said the word to. I thought, fuck, man, to. In my head, I'm not listening to what he's saying, I'm thinking 2 years. And he goes, 200 hours of community service and a £750 fine. And he goes, if I see you in my courtroom in the next 2 years, I will enforce this sentence on you. And I thought to myself, fuck me, man. Whoa. God has answered my prayer. 200 hours. Man, I walked out of that and I was a different bloke. I was a changed bloke from there. Because for me, that was my 9th life. Done, dusted. I wasn't going to fuck about after that. And I didn't. So that was a big, big eye-opener and a stumbler for me in my life, was that thing that happened. And I openly talk about it because I want people to know. I'm not embarrassed about it. I could have gone to prison. What way would my life have gone if I'd gone to prison? Probably a bad way. I wouldn't have been able to do any of the stuff I'm doing. I don't care what people say. Once you've got a criminal record, somewhere along the line it comes up. Mm-hmm. Even now, I got convicted for community service. Somewhere when somebody's doing an in-depth check on me, it will flag up somewhere. And it stopped me from going into certain professions because I was convicted of 200 hours community service. It still goes on my record. It still shows up in any CRB check that's done.
Yes.
So I was officially a criminal.
Yeah. You said you were a teacher after that.
Yeah.
So how did you get a teacher?
Okay, so this is another. So when I finished my university, I loved it so much. My mum funded my education. Now you got to remember, this is a woman working a normal job. By that time, she became a carer. She was big in the care industry. She loved it. And then she funded my education. And as I was coming to the end of my degree, I'd done really well. I said, look, Mum, I'm going to stay another year, do my master's. She's like, look, I'm going to invest in you. Do it. Don't fuck about. Come out, do it well. And then when I came out, like obviously I told you, I did my teaching degree, became a teacher. Now, when I went to get my first actual teaching job and they did my CRB check, well, it was like 6 pages long. When they opened it, it was like, because it has everything you've done, right? I'm sitting there with the head teacher, and this is where I realized I'm good at sales. I had to sell myself to him. I had to explain everything that had happened, why it happened, and why it was actually a good thing that it happened. So I'm going for a job in an all-boys school, which is a rough school where they need positive role models. They need someone of ethnic origin who can relate with them. So I thought, this is perfect. You know, I almost got locked up. You guys are trying to stop these guys from getting locked up. I was involved in violence. You don't want these guys involved in violence. So I can give them real life experiences. Dude, I sold myself so well. I managed to get 5 increases on the pay scale because they start on scale 1. I managed to get him to pay me on scale 5.
Bloody
I managed to show him that he needed me more than I needed him. And all of these negatives became a positive.
wow.
And I walked out of there. I still remember I was maybe 22. I walked out of there with a £30,000 salary. Fresh out of doing my teacher training. And most of my mates at the time were getting 22, 23, starting at the very bottom. And I remember going home, telling my mum, and she's obviously quite happy. Oh, my son, he got a proper job now. You know, he's fucking married. He's getting married and all this. And as soon as I got that job, I knew I was in a different league now in the sense that I could get a mortgage. I could get finance. And that's how it started. My mum said to me, I said to her, Mum, I'm going to buy a new car. All my boys are getting a Range Rovers and Mercedes. I'm getting a new Goody, Mum. She goes, no, hell no. You're not getting a car. I'm like, what the? No, Mum, please, no, don't do this to me. She goes, you're buying a house. And I thought, oh man, I go, Mum, none of my friends have got a house. Let me get the car. You know, I had a 16-year-old Saab 900 convertible. You know, it had some street cred.
Bro, that was,
old ugly duckling. It was a nice car.
that's a legend car, mate.
And all my boys had their new cars. I had no game. But I look back now, man, and she helped me raise some money for the deposit. I saved up. We got the house. And she said to me, one day you'll thank me for this.
Where was that house?
In Wanstead. In Wanstead. That was the first house I bought in Wanstead, in just off Aldersbrook Road. I sure remember at the time it was expensive. I paid £388,000 for it.
Wow.
And everybody thought I was a nutter. Everybody thought, what are you doing, man? You're stupid. Go down the road. You can get something for 220. But I could see something in that area. And like I told you earlier on, as a child, I used to cycle around this area because you know the area. It's an affluent area.
Very.
You know, good people live there. There's nice cars on the driveway. And I remember driving around for hours on my bike up and down those roads. What does this guy do? What is this guy doing to have a car like this and a house like that? And what do I need to do to be like this person? For me, whenever I see someone do well, a friend of mine recently bought a Lambo and I was cussing him because he was supposed to buy an investment property, but he bought a liability. But I was so happy for him. You know, when any one of my circle do well, I generally feel happy. And for me, when I'm cycling as a kid, I'm thinking, I need to know what these people are doing. And then after that, it became very apparent that anybody in East London who was doing well was either in business or they were in real estate. Or the ones that were doing really well were in business and real estate. And as soon as I knew that, I was like, right, okay, I need something to generate me money. I had my job, but I knew early on that there's only a cap limit this can take me to. And I knew I had to get into real estate. So I remember buying that first house and then just waiting a little bit of time before it had equity in it, releasing the equity, going again, buying something else, you know, buying something else. And then I became a little bit smart. I started adding value to property. But that's really where it started, man, from knowing my worth while I was getting that job, knowing that I needed to put that money to work. So my wages wasn't as much as I wanted to spend it. I remember paying my first mortgage off, all my bills off. I was left with £60 a month. £60 a month, man. And we used to use that to go out with. You know, you want to go out with your mates. That's all I had. But those are the days you look back at and you think, yeah, they taught me some lessons. But, go back from there as well. When I was 9, 10, I had a paper round because I wanted to earn my own money. The local fruit and veg shop, you probably know it, on Church Road, there used to be a little newsagents on the corner opposite Little Ilford Lane. And they used to do newspapers.
Oh, yes.
It's a big Londis now.
Yes.
Those brothers, I used to work for them, man, like £2 an hour. And then I used to put the veg out in the morning before school, then get to school. And then in the evenings, another local shop. You go in, fill up his drinks and everything. You give you a couple of quid an hour. So the work ethic was always there, man, from very early on. And that came from my mum. And I think that's why we had such a powerful relationship.
Would you say to somebody who's quite young right now, because everybody wants to go, yeah, I've got a student loan right now, I'm at uni, my parents are helping me out a little bit, and they're not motivated to work. What are the benefits of working when you're young?
Look, I think number one, the biggest benefit is you have your own money, and that's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling that you've physically gone out and you've done something and you've earned your own money. My oldest son, I got him a job in my friend's off license when he was 8, 9. He's carrying cases of beer. Okay, he shouldn't be in an off license doing that, but it's my friends. He's filling up beer cans. He learned how to run the till. He learned how to speak to customers. It got to a point when he was 12, on a Friday night, he'd be in the shop with us. Because, any Indian who owns an off license, it always becomes a bit of a social.
Yeah.
One time in a week, you might go there, have a drink with a friend. It becomes a social hub for the guys to get together. And I remember one point, my son's there running the whole till, and we're sitting in the back watching TV. He's there, uncle, how much is this? And talking to the customers, interacting to the customers. But that soon stopped with when one of the mums came in who go to his school. She said, you're old enough to do that. So we had to kind of nip that in the bud. But I think anybody who's out there thinking, should I get a job? 100%, man. Like you said, Sean, it teaches you skills. Little Mary, the old lady, comes in. Hello, Mary, I got your newspaper, I got your pint of milk. These are all skills you're going to need later on in life. You might not think it at the time, but proper skills you learn, man. And it shows you work ethics. And also, it lets you be with people that are running businesses and you can pick their brains. I think you pick up some real life skills. But I think it's got to the point now, because we're in second, third, fourth generations of Indians in this country, they're like, no, my son can't work in a shop. My son can't do this.
I think
Fuck
that's the wrong mentality.
Yeah, don't put your son on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Get him out there. Get him work. Get him earning his keep.
Go on, son.
Get out there.
You got out with a mortgage now.
Contribute to the pot.
Love it.
It's difficult for us to do that, but I think because where we came from and we've done similar things, it wouldn't be so bad for us if we put our kid in a job and say, because what the motivating factor behind it is, not because you want his money, it's for him to learn.
Yeah. No, well, I do need a little bit of help with the electric bill, but
Yeah.
Go on, son.
Get on your bike and deliver
Go
papers.
on, do it. So, James, you're in this teaching job now. You've bought a few properties. Then what happens?
I just carry on going. Literally, man. I just carry on going. So, actually, no. I've missed a big part out. So, when I bought my first property, at the same time, I started a print company.
Okay.
Now, the print company was a friend of mine was around one evening having a few beers, and he goes to me, that printer that you got over there, you had that at university? I went, yeah, we used to print off our A3 draft drawings and all of that. He goes, is it photo quality? I went, yeah, it's photo quality. He goes, have you ever thought about selling some pictures online? I go, what do you mean? He goes, there's this new platform called eBay. And these guys made, at that time, eBay in 2004, 5, 6, made a lot of people millionaires overnight. With, they could get out to their customer base. And he said, yeah, just sell some pictures. I go, what? He goes, well, I'll find some cars, innit? So I went on Google, advanced search, high-res images of Ferrari Dino cars. So found these beautiful images. I still remember a shiny red car on a black background. Took the picture off. I was always very good at Photoshop. Got a wall, superimposed it on the wall, put some shadow around it, made it look like a photo on the wall. A3, $9.99, $1.99 or $2.99 packaging. Put it on there, put a few variations on there, not thinking anything of it. Following morning I wake up, I sold like 5 pictures, man. I'm thinking, damn, man, that's 50 quid, let's go. And I've still got my teaching job at this time. Then you can imagine the following few weeks, a whole collection of cars went up, footballers went up, stars went up, everything you can imagine went up there in categories, all organised. Or I opened up an eBay shop as well. And then I just realised, hold on a second, we're going £100, £200, £500, £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. I'm thinking,
In what space of time?
I'd say 6 months, 7 months, something like that. And at that point, I thought, okay, I need a bigger printer. Because I was only offering A3 size at this time. I thought, right, I'm going in hard. Let's start offering A2, A1. Go and buy a bigger printer, put a massive printer, put it in my front room. And I remember, I thought I was so clever, bro. I bought this printer for like £5,000. And I thought I was so clever, like getting the inks from India cheap. I'm thinking, you lot in the UK are dumb, bro, paying this much for inks. When I bought these inks, they arrived, man. I put them in, they melted all the pipes in the machine within 2 months. So I've just bought this machine on credit card.
Wow.
And I've ruined it. Had to scrap it and buy another one.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've bought another one. Because I thought, no, this is too good. So now I'm in debt by £5,000. Or maybe a little bit more because the ink was a fiasco because we imported inks. But it didn't stop me, man. We started selling bigger sizes. I started selling canvas pictures when canvas was big. I started then importing the canvas. You know, Manor Park Station, you got a storage unit there.
Yes.
I had rented 2 storage units. I had a whole container of stretcher bars arrive for the canvas frames. I had a whole container of canvas arrive. Because I thought, I'm going to cut my costs right down. I want to make the most amount of money I can. And I really thought I was a top businessman, bro. I thought, I'm a baller, man. I figured this business shit out. Quit my job. I remember quitting my job.
How old was you?
Huh?
How old was you at this stage?
When I quit, probably about 24, 23, 24 maybe, yeah. And I remember thinking, it's the beginning of the month. My mortgage ain't due to the end. I'll make enough money. We got it covered. So I quit. I actually walked out of my job. I didn't quit. I was so frustrated with it. Halfway through, I just walked out. Got my dabba, put all my stuff in from my desk. And my car was parked outside. Halfway through a lesson, opened the fire exit, walked out, put it in my car. Nice hot day. Put the roof down on the Saab 900, shades on. Off we go. And the class is clapping. I could see them. It was Norlington School. I was at Norlington at the time. It's just because the school pissed me off that much, undervalued me so much. I thought, no, sod it. I'm not sticking around. I'm not working my notice. Went. And halfway down the road, I'm thinking, yeah, man, fucking I'm the man. I just quit my job. Then I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I've got to tell my mum. And that's when it kind of all got a bit real. Went to the pub, had a few pints, calmed down the nerves, said, Mum, I'm going to come pick you up from work. We'll go and have a bite to eat. We'll have some dinner. And my wife at the time, she wasn't my wife at this time. We were engaged. She was with me. And we went out, we had dinner. Mum goes, everything all right? I go, yeah, everything's all right. She's kicking me on the desk. You can tell your mum. And I didn't tell her. And then she just goes, oh, Mum, by the way, James quit his job. And she said it that quick. I go, huh? What? You quit your job? She goes, Boggle, you got your mortgage due. Your mortgage is due. What are you saying? I said, look, Mum, there's 22 days or 23 days till mortgage is due. I've got this worked out. She's just looking at me in disgust, thinking, oh my God, you committed the biggest sin. And lo and behold, I made more money than what was due on my mortgage. And the business started from there. And then obviously, me and my wife, we got married, and my mum said to me, look, you can't be running a business from the home, man. Like, the front room was production, the kitchen was packaging. I was having trucks arriving outside with boxes, I was on my driveway, I had deliveries arriving. I was getting a bit silly because the blinds were never opened in the front room. So neighbours were like, what's going on in here?
And there's trucks coming.
Trucks coming of stuff arriving, man. In the evening, Royal Mail arriving, then DHL's arriving, then FedEx is arriving, because by this time we've gone worldwide. I've opened Amazon shops, I've opened eBay stores, and we thought, we need to move. So we moved, got our first unit in Chadwell Heath. And then we diversified, we started doing signage, we bought more machines, just reinvested. Cut a long story short, when the business went into liquidation, we were in 20,000 square foot. We had a printer that was worth 2 million quid. And it was just a phenomenal business, man. And I used to walk around there and think, how the fuck did I build this? When all the staff would go home at night and I'd do the last check before I lock everything up. Toilet was at the end of the building. Walk to the toilet, walk around, and think, James, how did this happen, man? How did this just go from a little idea into servicing people like Google, servicing Facebook?
How did it?
I think it just all comes back down to watching my mum, bro. You know, that whole hustle. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I saw her do it, and she didn't realize how much of an impact she had on me as a child, and how it's still there. And every time I think about stuff, I still think I can still see her working. You know, she was just a fucking hustler. You know, a hustler and a half. She was my biggest fan, man, and she was my best friend. Where every time I did a property deal, she's the only person I want to tell. When the renovation was done, she's the only person I want to show. Even now when I do deals, yeah, my wife takes an interest, my kids take an interest, but the interest my mum took was different. Because for her, it was like, this is my son. This is my offspring that's creating this. And we had such a good bond, you know, me and my mum. Some of my friends can believe it, like, you know, my mum would come down the pub, have a drink with us. You know, she's the kind of person that really took interest in my friends. Just such a lovable person. And yeah, you know, really used to get stuck in.
How does it feel when that? She sounds like a real rock in your life as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Somebody who was at the center of everything. You
Yeah.
know? And it feels like, although she might have been disappointed, like you meant everything to her. She would be the first person there for her when you were like in trouble, and she felt it was her responsibility to get you out. Like, what does it feel like when that person's not around anymore?
You know, imagine jumping out of a plane and someone tells you ain't got your parachute no more, bruv. Your parachute's gone. That's what it feels like. That's how I can describe it. Someone's just cut the strings, the parachute's flown off, and you're just floating now. You're on your own. And you're heading towards the ground, and you want to make a soft landing. But you know, whereas before, when your mum's around, she might pull you a little bit, you know, just to stop the drag or stop the force of you hitting the floor so hard. So my biggest fear always losing my mum as I was growing up, as every year went on, and the more I'd look at my mum, I think, okay, you know what, she's slowing down in that area. She started to walk a little bit slower. Very active woman, you know. Had a driving license for 25 years, drove a car 3 times, used to love taking the 101 and the 147. You know, typical. But she started to slow down, and it was always my biggest fear. But I didn't think she would go in the way she did, you know. Just all of a sudden, one day, she's cooked a meal for me. She's come round to my place, cooked a bit of lunch. We used to, even with the property business and how busy I was, I always took time to sit with her and eat with her, have tea with her. And when she had that fit, I knew deep down, that's it. She's not going to come back from this.
She just had a fit?
She just had a fit in the house, and she came back round from the fit. And at first, she's like shaking. I thought, oh, mate, she's just playing a prank on me. My mum play pranks on each other all the time. But no, this wasn't a prank, man. She's foaming at the mouth and all sorts. And my little young kid was there, and he was like, oh, Daisy mum, you okay? You okay? And then I've sat her down on the sofa, and she come back round, and she was all good. She goes, oh, I don't know what that was. I said, no, none of that nonsense. I called the ambulance straight away. And, you know, her cognitive ability to put her finger on her thumb, all of this was all gone at this point. Took her to Royal London Hospital, and it transpired that she had 2 little tiny tumours in her head. They said, look, it's nothing to worry about. It's just sitting on some receptors or something. It's causing her a few issues. We're going to cut them out. She's going to be absolutely fine. Sent her in an iPad and everything. She's got Netflix on it. Set her up a profile so she wasn't getting bored in hospital. Ironically, I've still got a profile on Netflix. Something inside me just can't get rid of it. You know, you go onto it and you can see the last video she watched. And she's like, oh, James, I'm coming back harder and better. They're going to cut these tumours up. I've asked the doctor to give me a little tune-up, a little MOT.
Fighter.
I'm going to be back, and I'm going to be better than ever. She's ringing up her bosses saying, look, you know, they said to me that I need to have some time off, but I still want to come in. I want to be with the residents. You know, because she genuinely loved them. She loved the people she cared for. She was on such a hype thing, like she's been given a second lease of life. A month later, she's like, let's go. We had a Bart's appointment down Bart's. They were going to give us some results on the biopsy. So don't worry about it. Everything's going to be good. But we went down there. You know, we're sitting in there. Thank God those times you wore masks so people couldn't see your facial reactions and they could only see your eyes. I remember sitting there holding her hand, and they go, the consultant was quite abrupt, an Irish woman, very, very abrupt, you know, she was just doing her job. She goes, look, it's not very good news. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, what do you mean it's not very good news? She goes, you have a very rare form of brain cancer, grade 4, and the longest anyone's ever lived from it is 18 months. And it's terminal. I'm like, what the... All these words have just come up. And, bro, my mum, I looked at her through the side of my eyes. At this point, my mouth's going, I'm about to start bawling, yeah? I'm feeling this inside now. I'm about to start crying. I'm like, no, hold it together, man. Hold it together. And I look to the left of me and I see her just no expression, no nothing, just cold, as to say, yeah, is that all you got? I'm thinking that's all she could be imagining. And we walked out. She's a bit slow by now, you know, she's just had this operation. And I said to her, I go, Mum, do you know what they've just said to you? She goes, yeah, I know what they said. She goes, I'm just going to sit here. She goes, go and get some tea. Go and get tea and coffee. I said, all right, I'm going to go bathroom, get some tea or coffee. But I remember getting up, just leaving her on the side there. She's cool sitting there. I remember walking and I got the phone to ring my wife. I rang the number. My wife's like, hello, James, hello. You know when people say the words weren't coming out? Bruv, I could feel every emotion. And I'm like, I was like that. I couldn't get a single fucking word out. And I'm like, what's happened to me? I walked outside the hospital, just went round the corner and broke down, man. Fell to the ground in fucking tears. So I'm like, okay, this is sunk in now. I rang my wife, and my wife's a lot stronger. She's a strong character, man. She's like, no, we're going to get through this. Everything's going to be all right. You know, we'll get a second opinion, da-di-da-di-da. And Mum just held it together, man. Like, proper held it together. And then we got home, and that's when she let it out. In the taxi all the way home, I'm holding her hand. And we get home, and that's when she cried. She let it all out. And it was hard, man. It was hard to see her go through that because she's always been so hard-nosed. And it was at that point, about an hour later, again, her being her, she goes, nah. She goes, fuck this cancer. She goes, I'm going to tell it when I'm going. This thing ain't telling me when I'm dying. I'm going to go when I want to go. And then she had this attitude. I was like, fuck, this woman just don't give up, man. You know? And then in that period of time, she all the people she wanted to see, she saw. She got all of her affairs into order. I helped her get all of her affairs into order. And it was hard, man. It was so hard. But the only blessing in all this for me was I knew that she was going. And for me, I could prepare for it. I could physically now prepare myself knowing that she isn't just going to drop dead and I'm going to have the shock of my life. I can lead up to this. So my friend, conveniently Rishi, he's been on a few podcasts, owned an off license around the corner from my house. So you can imagine, bro, most of my days and evenings were spent in there. And he said to me one thing that still registers in my head clearly. He said, James, when she goes, I have to be abrupt with you. The world's going to carry on. No one's going to give a shit that your mum's dead. He goes, I'm your friend. I'm going to tell you how it is. The clocks are going to tick. The cars are going to drive. Everything's going to move on, but stuff's going to stop for you. And lo and behold, he was right. The day she took her last breath, I was holding her hand. My sister was holding her hand. She was in the house with us. And I stepped outside the house. World had stopped for me. Buses are still going past. Kids are still laughing. Cars are still driving. And I thought, okay, that's what he meant. That's what he meant. And yeah, man, it's obviously that evening, the body was at home for a while until they came round, did the assessments, and they took her. I just remember going into the back room and looking at her, and I couldn't say anything. And bro, you know, all I could say was, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And even the day before her actual funeral happened, I went into the morgue to see her. She's lying on this slab, just looks like she's sleeping. Held her hand, and I couldn't think of one bad thing about my mum. Not one bad memory. And I don't care what people say, everybody has a bad memory. Even now, I don't have a bad memory. like all I could do was say thank you, because without her, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be where I'm going. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And, you know, she was my, and I made it very clear to people. I said she was the most important woman in my life. You know, I know that's a harsh thing for my wife to hear, but I ain't lying. My wife is just as important, but my mum she was there, man. She was my woman. She was my mum. She was my queen. And when she went, I remember that evening, man, just fucking must have been, she died at about 8:20 in the morning. From that period, once they'd taken her body, must have been 3 or 4 bottles down, alcohol. And I remember standing in Wanstead Fields, nighttime, with my cousin. It's pouring down with rain. I'm looking up, shouting at the sky, saying, "You're fucking gone. You've left me." You know. And yeah, it was a tough time, man. It was a tough time.
How long did she survive?
From point of diagnosis to death, 6 months. 6 months, man. I saw her go from a woman who could climb a tree and cut branches to someone who could move, talk, speak, couldn't do anything. Night before she died, I held her hand. She was awake, and I could feel that she was just hanging on. She's hanging on for a reason. I held her hand and I just said, "Mum, look, it's time for you to go, man." I said, "Look, I'm big enough, I'm ugly enough to handle my own shit." I've almost felt as if she was hanging on just to make sure her boy's okay. And you know, my mum made it clear. I've got a sister, but my sister knew my mum loved me more. And my mum made it clear. She said, "Yeah, he's my biggest downfall. He's my guy, you know. He melts my heart. I love him more than you." And my sister knew that. And I took full advantage of that, you know. Hey, I'm mum's favourite, you know, as we were growing up. And it was almost as if she was holding on just to make sure I was okay. And then the following day, yeah, started slowing down. And then, yeah, man, just, she went. And greatest thing that could happen was that we got her back into her house. She used to live in a flat. And at that time, I was living in a converted flat upstairs. And I had nowhere to take her. And we ended up buying the flat back downstairs because it was up for sale. And years ago, she told me not to sell it. She goes, "One day you'll buy this back and you'll pay more." And how ironic is it that I bought it back, quickly converted the bathroom, me and my cousin, just to move her in. And she had one bath there and survived about 2.5 weeks and died. And we bought it back for 150 grand more than we sell it. And even now, I own it now, and I laugh about it because I think, this woman told me not to sell it.
Yeah, she knew.
And I didn't listen to her. And she said to me, "You never sell real estate in London."
Yeah, that's the number one thing lesson that I've also got from my granddad. Done that in the 1970s. He bought, I don't know if you know Ham Park Road.
Yeah.
He bought property for £2,000. 6 months later, it went to 6,000. He thought he was a G. He goes, "I've tripled my money."
Yeah.
6 months after that, because of inflation stuff, it went to 60,000.
Yeah.
And so we learned our lessons. One of the number one lessons were never sell real estate. Once you've got it, just have it. I've even thought about the one in Peterborough. I said I'd done a little cheeky deal, made 100 grand. I'm like, sell it, bring it back to London. And my dad is your mum. It's the same, exactly the same. And he's like, "Have you took your money out of it?" I went, "Yeah, I've got the money." I go, "So why do you care? Why do you care bringing that money? Just leave it. Just leave it." And you watch it and it's just growing at a different rate. And he goes, "Diversification.
Yeah.
What if something happens in London? You got one out there. Like it's okay." But that's why that story's really touched me a lot, because I dread the day that I have to see that sort of time coming. Because something my dad does tell me is you have to be realistic with life.
Yes.
And also when things go or people go, he goes, life goes on. You got to move on.
Yes.
I remember even the day my granddad passed away, he went gym that day. My dad's thing and our gym thing is to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Every single day. And so it's like, it's Papa G's funeral. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be back in an hour from the gym." And he just carried on normal.
Yeah.
And obviously when he said bye to his dad, he was very, emotional, but he was like, "Bye, Dad." But he carried on. And I think he always shows me, like, I know you're a little softy, but life does carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want you to ever be upset. But he's my go-to. He is my parachute. And whether I like to say I'm a big man, I can do things by myself.
Yeah.
Every day, even after this podcast, I'll go, "Oh, I met James today. Oh, what does he do? He does Dubai real estate. All right,
Yeah.
nice. Dad maybe might have a look at real estate. I got a contact now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, be careful, son. Be careful.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's hard enough to look after something down the road, and that he'll give you that speak, and then go. So what's he got? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they're them people. They are parachutes. They are them.
You know
them
what,
people.
Sean? If there's one bit of advice I can give you, man, just know that it's gonna happen one day. Yeah, this is what I say to even my wife. But don't have no regrets, man. Like, don't have any time regrets. Like, call him, like you obviously do. Sit with him, eat with him, drink with him. If there's that holiday you're planning, do it next week. Do it next month. Do whatever you want to do with him, because you don't, like, right now I don't have any regrets with my mum. Time regrets especially not, because I spent so much time with her, you know, and I'm quite open about it. I was her mummy's boy, and I'm happy to say that she was my mum. Why wouldn't I be her boy? You know? But if anybody's there listening on your podcast and thinking, how am I going to deal with this? Number one, know that it's going to happen. Number two, do everything you can to mitigate you not feeling bad or having any regrets, because regrets when someone's dead is bad, man, because you can't do nothing about them. So if you're always thinking, you know what, I'm going to ring my mum this week. No, do it, man. The best thing you can do is look at your phone and say, mum calling or dad calling. But I ain't going to never get that again. I still got my mum's telephone number stored in the phone. She's still on speed dial. She ain't never going to call me. I'm never going to call her. I say to people, I say, if you look at your phone and it says dad calling, answer the fucking phone, man. Or mum calling, answer the phone. When I shoot podcasts, I got a rule. If the phone goes off and it's somebody calling, it's a family member, answer that call. I don't give a shit. We can edit that out. We can leave it in, because you don't know what's happening on the other end of that call. Somebody could be calling you to say, dad's had a trip. Fuck this. This can wait. Go see your dad, bruv. Take the call, because life's so short, man. And once someone's dead, you can't say anything to them. You can't revisit them. You can't go backwards. It's done. So it really troubles me when people say to me, oh, you know what, I fell out with my mum, I don't talk to her. No, bro, don't do that. Because when they're gone, the regrets that you're going to have, and trying to come to terms with those regrets is difficult. Big time.
Have no regrets.
Absolutely, man. Like if you're in your head, if you're thinking right now, you know what, I really want to take dad to do this.
I'm thinking.
Do it.
What I'm thinking is, you know, we live together. So,
Yes.
you know, we live as a joint family, and mum's lovely and stuff. My mum got some really bad news about her sister recently.
Yeah.
So, Mussy, who lives just down my end, there's cancer that goes on in our family on my mum's side, and she's just recently been sort of diagnosed.
Yeah.
And it's stage 4 already.
Fuck.
And it was just like they were just doing stuff together, and then mum goes, oh, she's having these heartburn, you know, refluxes, all of that sort of stuff. And she's gone to a doctor, and she goes, oh, it could be something that spread to her lungs. And then when they checked it out, and they said it's stage 4. So it's just like really hit us, and it really hit me, because it's just like mum's sister. Do you know what I mean? And it's
just one layer to your mum, you know?
Exactly. And I'm not very close to my parents physically. Emotionally, I'm always there. Mum, do you need anything? Dad, everything all right? Every day. But the thing is, because we're so complacent with each other, it's like, dad, all right? And that's all I'll say for the day.
Yeah.
I don't realize I actually haven't sat down with him and let's have a cup of tea or a little glassy together or eat dinner together. It's like, all right, dad, everything all right? What happened about that deal there or this? Like, that's all we'll talk. And sometimes I wish it could just be not even ask, but just hug dad, you know?
Yeah, bruv, you know what? Go home today and just do that, because one of the things I regret, me and my mum were quite hard-nosed. You know, we're very close. You do that side hug thing, you know, like Indians do, just one little arm and you have a little side hug. And it was only when she got ill that the tight hugs came out, you know? And the tight hugs need to come out now, man. And I say it to my little son. My wife always says this is such a good analogy that I gave him. When I hug my son, he goes, Dad, why are you hugging me? What are you doing? I said, listen, I'm sending you some love particles from my body into your body. You're sending me some love particles back. And, you know, when my wife heard that analogy, she was like, that's a powerful analogy, man. Hugging to send love particles to each other. I would, you know, I know you say you're not touchy-feely, bro. Go home and do it and see how it feels.
It's like going for that parachute jump.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Doing it. It's like that feeling I would get. So when mum got the call, I don't normally see her breaking down and then she just put her mouth over her head and
Yeah,
really let
yeah.
it go, because that's a London mussy, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's not one who lives in Birmingham. They're really close. So I knew I had to go and hug her, and she really held me tight like I'm her man.
Yes.
Like she held me like,
Yeah.
yeah, I needed that.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does it take for a situation like this to come for me to even hug you?
Yeah.
And with Dad, I'll see him sometime doing the lawn at the front, or he's always active. He's always doing something. They're very young. They're 60 at the moment and stuff. And Dad goes badminton 6 days a week. But I just want to go, Dad, like, how are you? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all right. We know we love each other, but I really want to do it.
Just do it.
And it's just like that anxiety you get before
Yeah,
gonna do it, because
I
it's
know.
just like, is he gonna say, what are you doing, man? But I know he wouldn't, you know what I mean? He would just be like, is everything all right? It would be that feeling.
Oh, have you ever gone up to him and just gone up to him, give him a hug and just say, Dad, you know what, I just wanted to say thanks. That's it. He's going to say, Sean, what are you saying thanks for? So I want to say thanks for everything you've done for me. You know, like everything. You've taught me all these lessons in my life. And boy, I can guarantee you, if anything, he's the one who's going to be walking to the back of the garden sobbing, you know, fucking my boy said that to me. You know, as a father of a 13-year-old, when my son says to me, Dad, you know, thank you so much for doing that for me. You just think, my number one job in this world is being a parent over anything else. You know, and that should be every parent's job, over your business, over everything. I say, number one job should be a parent.
He goes to next level after that. I know he'll be like, he'll just be like to me, you know I love you, son. You know I love you. You know this, that, other. And you know I'm getting old now, and I'm not the man I used to. All that comes out as well. I can feel it. Do you know what I mean? It'll be that this
but
thing
it's nice.
bottled up.
It's nice, man. He's sharing his, because it's typical in Indian men. You don't share them feelings.
Yeah.
They just get bottled up and stay inside.
Yeah. Nice. Look, I know we've gone really off topic on this, but I think, do you know what? This is what makes us. This is life.
Yeah.
This is real life. This is not social media. This is actually what we actually do go through in life. And these are the important connections, and appreciate, because these are your real mentors. These are the real people who are going to watch out for you. It's not going to be somebody who's like your friend who's got competition with you sometimes, or siblings who move on and then why has he got more than me? These are the real sort of mentors who are going to watch out for you. And that's what I like to be an advocate of, like, you know, respect your mum and dad, because they're the only people who would want to see you be better than them.
Yes.
Nobody else will.
Yeah, your parents are the only people. Yeah.
You know. So let's finish off with this podcast in terms of let's find out a little bit about Dubai real estate.
Sure.
So I got offered a deal the other day. It was 300,000. They say, Sean, well, we can get you the finance for 150,000. 75 is already done in the deal for you. You just need to come up with 75 to make your 150. And we'll give you the 150 as finance. And it was a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment, and you could see that building that's that shaped.
Oh, the Burj Al Arab?
Yeah. So you could see that through the window, and it all looked really nice and done. And I was like, I'm going to go for it. And then I was like, hang on, I can't manage something down the road. How am I going to manage something up there? Yes, they've given me 75 on the deal because the other guy fell through.
Yeah.
So they've
Is
given
it ready?
It was ready.
Yeah.
It was ready, but I didn't know how to research it. And I just thought, I saw building here. How much actual surplus and supply of properties do they have? And that's all I sort of got. And the guy just went, do you want it or not? This is going to go very fast. You've got a couple of hours. And I was like, you haven't even given me a proper address, and I just can see this building there, which I know that one. And I just went, I'm sorry, Brian. And he kind of was like, I'm not going to give you another deal now.
Who was the
after
developer?
this. I can't remember.
Okay.
Now. It was a couple of months ago, but a broker from Mayfair, because we're in that private network, he just offered it to me. But I was just like, it was a deal that he was offered, and he was going to do the finance. So it was a little bit cloudy for me, and I can't do a deal like that.
Yeah.
I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I need to know how many buildings. Is it one little dot in this big building with loads of buildings that could potentially be empty? I don't know what was happening with the maintenance sort of side of things. These are the problems that me and my viewers and audience will be thinking of.
Sure.
How do we mitigate this stuff? Like, how do I build relationship with somebody, know what I'm buying, where it's located, how I'm not going to be hit with charges that might not even be there?
Sure. Okay, so look, number one, him saying to you, you only got a couple of hours to make a decision. It could be two things. One, he's obviously trying to get the sale out. You quickly put a sense of urgency in it. But number two, Dubai moves very, very quick. You could view something in the morning at 9 o'clock. By 10:30, somebody else has bought it. So if somebody's bringing you a good deal, he's not bullshitting that they do move very, very quickly. Now, as I was saying earlier, if somebody is looking to buy something, number one, you really do need to come to Dubai to have a look. Now, look, if you trust the person, then necessarily no, you don't. If you think, yes, this guy's got my best interest at heart, he is lining me up with the right product, he's done everything above and beyond, then yeah, you can commit. You can put your holding deposit down and then you could fly out and have a look. Now, don't be fazed by somebody saying to you it's got a Burj Al Arab view or it's got a Burj Khalifa view. Dude, I live 13 minutes away from downtown. I've got a Burj Khalifa view. Now, granted, it's that big, but I can see the whole skyline from where I live. I can see everything from Business Bay all the way like that, nicely, but it's in the distance. So don't let that faze you, man. Sorry, don't let that be the deciding factor. So number one, you need to speak to the broker. The broker needs to be able to give you information on what areas you should be investing in. Because look, at the end of the day, it's about location, location, and location. It's the same thing here in the UK. You can't buy something out in the sticks because you're going to struggle to rent it. If your strategy is Airbnb or short-term lets, it's going to be in one of the 5 big areas.
Which are?
So you've got Business Bay, you've got the Marina, you've got downtown, you've got most recently now you've got Dubai Creek Harbour, and then you've got which one have I missed? Downtown, the Palm. All of these areas are expensive. They're not cheap. So then what I would advise my clients is, if they're saying I want something short term, I'm going to say, look, we go to Dubai Creek Harbour because it's a new one, or we go to Shoba, which is Shoba Realty, which is just near the Russell Core Sanctuary, which is an area which is listed. You can't build in front of it. So if you buy something in Shoba Realty, you are going to get Burj Khalifa views. You are going to get the new Dubai Creek Harbour views, and it's never going to be blocked. Do you know why? Because you've got a wildlife sanctuary in front, which is the only natural wetland area in Dubai. So they need to protect it. They can't take it up. They can't build there. They got like 2,000 flamingos there. In the middle of Dubai, it's really odd. You just see these pink flamingos because it's natural wetland, only natural wetland. So I say to my clients, okay, Airbnb, something close to town, short-term let, you want something from a reputable developer, something that's not going to fall down, let's go with this. Why? Because of this, nothing can be built here. You got 8 minutes into downtown. You're this far from the marina. You're located on roadside. It has a golf course. It has a lagoon. It has a private beach. It's like a resort. All of these things, I'm doing the work for you. I'm telling you what this has got, because I don't want my client buying something and being stuck. Whereas a lot of people will. They don't care. Once the paper's signed, commission's done, there you go, Sean, you fucking deal with it. Not my problem.
How much in English money is a 1 or 2 bedroom place around that?
So things are now starting to get expensive. You know, like if you were buying something in Shoba, you would be paying about 285 to 300,000 pounds. Maybe 900 square foot, maybe 700 square foot, 1 bedroom. A big 1 bedroom, which generally on Airbnb works as 1 bedroom's here, 2 people, sofa bed in the living room because it's big enough, you can have another 2 people. And you will get on Airbnb anything from 12 to 15% returns. And the market is lucrative. Even if you went long-term let, the letting market in Dubai is on fire as well. Not just the sales market, the letting market. But your agent needs to be able to tell you this. He can't just say to you, oh, I've got a great deal for you. Okay, so what's my exit strategy? You as a property developer, when you look at a deal, you want multiple exit strategies. When somebody buys something with me, okay, your exit strategy is, if you're buying off plan, in a couple of years, we can flip this and make you a profit and take you out. It's a paperwork exercise. You may only have 40% invested, so you've made X amount of return on your equity employed, which is small. Or we put you on a long-term let, where a client's going to sign up, and in Dubai, you can demand your rent all up front. So on day one, tenant moves in, you got a year's worth of rent. You can use that money for something else. We can put it on a short-term let, holiday let. We'll get it all furnished up. It goes on to Airbnb. So when a client's buying from me, I'm giving them multiple exit strategies. I'm saying to them, look, If this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. And if this happens, we do this. So that they're completely covered.
So you've got all these contingency plans.
Yeah.
What I'm going to ask is, how much does like a 1 or 2 bedroom rent for?
So
For long term.
if you went for short term, if you went long term with a long term tenant, you could be looking at a nice conservative 8%, 8.5%. So that's a good return. And now don't forget, your return is also tax free. You don't pay anything on property gain. You don't pay anything on income that you make there, as long as it's staying in Dubai. You know, so it becomes suddenly your 8% is way more profitable than your 4% here in the UK. And this is what I'm saying to people. I'm saying, look, if you're in this strategy of property development in the UK just for a return, why are you not looking further afield?
How hard is it to get the finance in Dubai?
Someone sitting here right now, I can get you a 50% mortgage, no problem. And I can do that with most people. You will get a 50% mortgage. If you wanted to take it a step further and you registered a company in Dubai and that company was trading, and it could be as simple as trading with your UK company. You could be sending invoices over to your UK company, just a little bit of cross trade going, showing that you've got money running in and out. You could get a 75% mortgage, 70% mortgage.
How hard is it to open up a company in Dubai?
It's very simple to open a
How
company.
much does that cost me roughly?
There are companies that will do it for £6,000 or £7,000. There are companies that will do it for £12,000, £13,000. In my opinion, you want somebody who knows what they're doing, because it's not just about forming the company. It's making sure you have the right structure. Because a lot of my clients that I help set up in Dubai, it's not just getting them the company, the Emirates ID. We're looking at how can you become more tax efficient in the UK? How can you now use your Dubai company to cross invoice your UK company and legitimately move money to Dubai without paying tax on it? Because the more profits you report here in the UK, the more money you've got sitting in your account, you're paying tax on. Why are you not utilizing the UAE while you can? I do feel 5-6 years time, it's going to get harder. There's going to be more red tape. Forward think, man. Forward think. Move your money, or are you happy giving it to the government? So for me, when someone's setting up a company, I'm not just looking at you setting up a company. I'm looking at everything you want to do with that company. Are you moving your family there? Do you need money for your kids to go to school? Do you need money to pay for a car? Do you need money for maids, services, whatever? For me, it's always the bigger picture. It's not just the short term, it's the long term.
What are the current market trends right now in Dubai? What's hot? And do you see a recession coming as well?
Okay, so I don't see a recession coming at all. It was the first time the UBS global study showed that Dubai was a very stable, in fact, undervalued market in comparison to everywhere. London was shown as a bubble which is going to burst. Singapore was the same. Some of these big major cities were in red zones, whereas Dubai was still sitting in the yellow to green zone, you know, which show, and this is a global study that's done. And this is the first time Dubai's come on this study in that stance, whereas before it wasn't. We're still probably 20%, 22% off all-time highs. So we haven't even reached the all-time highs. Now, the biggest thing I feel right now is trending is townhouses and villas. There's a lot of apartments. Don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money on apartments. Now, what you've got to remember with apartments is your service charges are higher.
Yeah.
A lot higher.
Yeah.
With villas and apartments, your service charges might be 3 dirhams a square foot, whereas in an apartment, they can be up to 25 a square foot.
How hard is it to buy a villa?
Stock availability is limited.
Because there's only a certain amount of land that's
Absolutely.
there.
You can go up that way, but it's difficult to go out that way. So villas and townhouse communities are of shortage. There isn't many new projects coming. So this is what I say to my clients. When I have clients ask me, James, have you got something in the Mac Lagoons? I want something. And they're like, I go, how ready are you to commit? Oh, but if you get me a deal, I'll commit today. You work your arse off and find them something where it's a distressed sale, where somebody might be in trouble, wants to sell. These people don't understand. Like, they're like, dude, you need to commit. It's here. There isn't many of these. I've got you something that you're already in profit on. I had it recently with an Indian client. And he goes to me, 2 days later, he rings me, he goes, oh, brother, I want to go ahead with that deal. I go, dude, that was gone 30 minutes. He goes, after I spoke to you. He goes, oh, I thought that was your sales tactic. I said, why? Why? I go, now you're going to have to pay 200,000-300,000 dirhams more because your ego and your own way of thinking, you restricted yourself from getting a deal. When I'm telling you it's a deal, when James is saying it's a deal, it's a deal. Bruv, it's a fucking deal. I'm not going to bring shit to the table.
Yeah.
Because being on social so openly, I ain't prepared to sell people crap. But townhouses, villas is the way you definitely want to go, in my sense, in the sense that if you're looking for something that's going to get you stronger rental. Now, if you're buying, like right now, if you bought something off plan, say 4 million dirhams, yeah? And it's going to take 3 years for it to build. Now, the people that can buy that are early investors that have cash to meet the payment plans. But I can guarantee you, as soon as that's finished, or a year from finishing, that 4 million suddenly turns to 6, 7 million because people can mortgage it. So this is what you got to bear in mind as well. If you can service the payment plan and you're in it to double your money or get close to doubling your money, you can do it on products where there's a small availability. And if your whole purpose is to buy something off plan to make a profit on and to double your money, you can do that in 2.5 years. Bro, I've seen it. I've seen people make 1 million dirhams in 26 months off stuff. You know, I've seen people regularly making money. So it's possible, but it's just knowing who to work with, them telling you what's hot and what's not. Because you have to sieve through the noise. Because there's a lot of noise in Dubai. There's a lot of hungry brokers that haven't eaten for weeks.
Yes. Where do you see Dubai going? Because it's evolving. It's like this city that just keeps on getting bigger, better, brighter. Uber helicopters coming in, and boats, and just jet skis, and renting cars. Where is it going to be in the next few years?
Only yesterday, the Sheikh has agreed to the Palm Jabal Ali, yeah? So you got the Palm Jumeirah. Bro, they're building another one. They're extending the shoreline by 110 kilometers. 3,500 luxury homes are being built. Come on, man. What does that say to you? That this country is innovators, man. They are thinking about the future. They're not messing around. How long does it take for our government to decide on putting 2 lanes on the M25? You know, years. And how long does the work take? These guys have said by 2030 or 2040 it was, we are going to have Palm Jabal Ali. We're going to have a new coastline that they're extending. They don't have the land. They're building the land. They are actually physically putting the land there. Look at the innovation that goes behind this. They're talking about, people are saying, oh yeah, but it's still 50 degrees. It's so hot. They were testing drone clouds so it can rain. Come on, man. This country is on next level, what they do. Do you imagine that? Like, in 10 years' time or 5 years' time, they're going to be able to control the seasons. So you can be in Dubai and you can actually have a winter. You can be in Dubai, have a spring.
I don't think we want winter, but we want a nice cool summer.
That's what I'm saying to you. You know, like, that seems to be the only gripe is the heat.
Wow.
And what are Dubai doing? Are they ignoring it like the UK would ignore issues? No. They're turning around and saying, you know what? Let's make some clouds. Let's make it rain, baby.
The biggest thing for me, James, the why I'm looking around a little bit now is because it doesn't feel like there's anything left here in the UK. It's bloody bad weather. All right, forget that aside. But you watch the news and there's always some shitty bloody news on, and there's all of these confusing topics that your children are getting confused over, and all these genders and pronouns. Listen, be whoever you want to be. I don't have a problem, but stop putting it in like big banners in front of my face and stop invading other people. Just be who you want to be. I feel some people want to be a certain category to push it on to get more attention. Look, we're happy you doing you as long if that creates happiness. But I'm starting to think, do I need to move away somewhere else?
But one of the things for me was when I saw that, they're teaching 6-year-olds about oral sex. That was a shocker for me, and they're talking about transgender and all this. I got nothing against it, but as far as I'm concerned, you're a man, you're a woman, and for me that is clear cut, black or white. However you want to live like that. I've got no issue with it, but don't put it down my kid's throat. I don't need my kid knowing about oral sex, and how it's performed. He doesn't need to know this shit. Or it's okay for John to come into school and be Jessica. He said to me once, he goes, Dad, my friend was wearing a skirt. His nails are polished. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? A 6-year-old is already confused. And he's telling me, oh yeah, my friend's allowed to wear skirts and he can dress up as a superwoman or when he comes to kids' parties. And then when me and my wife saw the mum, we're like, yeah, well, what's going on with your son? Like, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm just letting them be free, express themselves. I'm thinking, man, it's people like this that get the shit kicked out of them later on because they've not beefed up enough. Live your life how you want. But I'm sorry, you ain't teaching my kids that. Now in Dubai, that nonsense doesn't happen. If they don't like something, it isn't happening. They're not teaching about it. There isn't. I've got nothing against it. You want to be gay, lesbian, do what you want. But in Dubai, that isn't happening. But the biggest shock for me the other day, I went to the service station. Toilets, disabled, male, female, inclusive. What the? There was no queue in the inclusive, so I thought, fuck that, I'm going to use this toilet. Yeah? All the other toilets had a queue. But after, when I walked down thinking, nah, man, people can do this. And then, even when I was at the services, there was men that looked like women. I'm like, nah, man, come on. But, back when we were growing up, you could always tell, you could say, okay, this guy used to be a man, now he's a woman. But he's a good woman, but there's still certain things. Now, you got like men that still look like men walking around like women. And I'm just like, nah, man, everybody can be happy, do what you want. But one of those things was like, no, you're teaching this to my kids.
Yeah, I don't feel like, I don't feel, you can teach about bullying.
Yes.
Don't bully somebody for being different.
Yes.
Yeah, we are all different and certain people act differently and like to wear different things. Just don't bully them.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be put more pressure on. Let people be who they want to be. So people go, oh, we know you're different and that's okay because schools taught me that.
Yeah.
And you'll have someone to talk to as well. There's a special consultant or advisor to say, yeah, you can talk, how are you feeling or what do you want to do? That's great. And you have no pressure on you. But to start saying, well, we need to teach this to everybody because I believe it is only a minority this is happening with, but the way it's being put into, why isn't financial literacy bloody being spread 100%, like that?
100%, man.
But that's the shit we do actually need. Like, haven't we got our morals wrong now a little bit? Isn't that something to think about?
Bro, but what about the other thing that you can identify as an animal? What the fuck, man? Kid can go into school and say, Miss, today I'm identifying as a dog and please talk to me like a dog.
Woof.
Yeah, exactly. Morning, Johnny. Woof, woof. John, what's the answer to that question? Woof, 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 woof. Yeah, this is fucked up, man. I don't get it.
Man.
You ain't a dog. You're a boy, girl. You have male parts or you have female parts. That's it.
Yes.
It's nonsense to me. Maybe I'm just older and I'm getting worked up about it, but I don't get it, man.
Look, there's nothing wrong with being who you want to be. Just have boundaries, and you're confusing the certain generation and population. That is okay. You're actually doing damage to that. What about the damage to that side? Don't they have a right? Don't they have a say about what's going on, what's being said? Or is it just this other minority who's just dominating and saying, well, we're feeling like this, so everybody else needs to feel our wrath as well? It must be frustrating for some of these people who are born in bodies that they don't feel like they belong in. I do understand that, certain people are born with different genetics and more X chromosomes or Y. There might be a small minority like that, and it must be horrible. But just teach us not to bully them people.
Yeah.
Don't force it down our throat. That there should be that sort of level. James, is there a question you wish I asked you?
Oh. No, not really, man. No.
Anything else you wanted to add about the Dubai real estate or anything around that area?
Look, if anybody's, well, not if anybody, but all the people that are watching this, if you're confused about Dubai real estate, go onto my Instagram, click on my bio and just book a call with me. I'm not going to sell you anything. If you just want some advice, if you're toying with the idea or some agent sent you something that you just need a second verification on, send it to me. Because what I'm finding is now, more and more people are putting their trust in Dubai when they have someone physically there. Most of my clients that buy from me are UK-based clients. They're property guys in the UK that are diversifying. And the reason they're buying, because they have someone they can trust. I'm there. I can go and see your development. I can, you can sign a power of attorney to say, James can sign on my behalf. James can inspect my property. James is allowed around my property. James can vet my tenants. He can do whatever. And I'm happy to do that for people. If somebody's bought something from me, I'm happy to add this value. So what a lot of my clients are saying, because I'm based there, they now trust me. So if anybody listening out there just wants a bit of advice or some help, or you want to start dabbling in the market, just book a call with me, man. I'm happy to talk to anyone.
There we go. James, if you look straight into your camera, let everybody know how they can follow you.
It's pretty simple. So my name is James Sahota. Most people call me Uncle James. That's thanks to Ted who gave me that name. But Instagram is where I'm most active, and it's just James H Sahota, and all the other channels just James Sahota, but most active on Instagram.
There we go, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. It was quite a different one. It was a little bit more emotional. It was more about family values, but it all is part of, all of the topics that all entwine, which makes us as people. So don't forget to leave us a comment, leave a comment for James. I can get in touch with him and get you the answer. Share this with some friends, family, and especially if you're interested in Dubai. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Thank you.
Nice one, bro.
Oh, I was wicked, man. Really enjoyed that.
Did you enjoy that?